Welcome to Life Expressions. I'm Chari Hinete Elon, and today we have an inspiring guest who is a dad who likes to have fun with his family at the same time has a thriving career as a campus director of Pacific Link College. Our guest has a journey that embodies resilience and ambition. Aaron DPenha started as an international student facing the challenges of a new country and career path. Now he's thriving in his profession and has turned his dreams into a remarkable success story. In this episode, we'll dive into Aaron's experiences, the lessons he has learned, and the powerful insights he's gathered along the way. Whether you're a student, a professional, or just someone navigating change, this conversation will leave you motivated to pursue your own goals. So if you haven't subscribed to Life Expressions yet, please hit that subscribe button and notification bell so that you'll be notified each time we have a new episode on Life Expressions. Also, please feel free to leave your comments below if you like the episode, if you have comments, and if you have questions towards me or our guest, Aaron. Welcome to Life Expressions, Aaron.
Thank you for having me, Sherry. Really, really honored and appreciate you having me on the show.
And I'm so happy we have finally pinned down the date to be here on this podcast. Aaron, can you tell us about your journey from your home country to Canada?
So I come from a country called India, very popular nowadays, especially. But my city is Mumbai, and I loved my city. Growing up there was, awesome, and I have great friends, great memories, family back home as well. In 2017, my wife and I did a trip to Macau, where her uncle was at the time, and that's when we kind of got this idea of, oh, maybe we should move to another country. We didn't know, what that would look like at the time, but we just had some conversations around that, and that was a little seed that my wife's uncle kind of just put in our heads, right? Sometimes you need someone to just kind of say something a little different, and with that, we kind of took that thought back with us and said, oh, maybe moving to a different country. We had a 3-year-old back then. And, we said, okay, maybe the opportunity for us back home in India was, fantastic. And, we were doing well career-wise, where we wanted to be and, all of that good stuff. But then just from, my 3-year-old's perspective, we had a decision to make. And the thing is, my dad worked with the Canadian Embassy for a good 22 years. And ever since I completed my 10th grade, he was like, you should go settle in Canada. And then I said no. I completed my 12th grade. He said, you should give Canada a shot. I said no. I completed university. He said, now's the perfect time for you to go, fully funded trip. My dad's paying for everything. I said no. Uh, you know, I still remember it like it was yesterday. Our wedding night, he said, he told my wife and I, you should consider settling in Canada and building a life there. And at that time we had so much going on for us, friends and everything, and community, and we said no. And then 3 years after our eldest child was born, is when we really started thinking about it. And, I'll never forget it. It was probably August 2017 when I called my dad and I said, hey, um, you know, we're probably going to give Canada a shot. And he was so excited. He called because he knew everyone and everyone told him a favor. He just called a friend here in Canada and said, hey, my son finally said yes. We got to capitalize on this before he changes his mind again. And that very night he asked me to, oh, just send me your passport details. And I sent him my passport details, thinking nothing of it. When I woke up in the morning,
Yeah.
I had an offer letter from a school in Canada. They got it done that quick. My dad
Wow.
didn't even wait for me to, get my finances in
He
order
was
and
so
pay the fees.
excited.
He was so excited. He paid those initial fees himself, and he's like, "Just pay me back whenever you want." And I kind of paid him back and all of that stuff. But uh, you know, he was pretty generous and pretty hyped about that decision that I had made and we were making as a family. And we we applied through the study visa process. I remember, I think I applied in September, received the quickest turnaround time for any visa I've received, 1 month. Got my visa in October 2017, and then flew. I wanted to spend Christmas, with family in India, because this was a life-changing decision. I didn't know if I was going to see my grandmom soon enough, and my parents and my friends and family. And I flew December 28th, 2017, and started my program in January 2018. I did a 2-year program,
Yeah.
and yeah, I it was a postgraduate program in digital media. I picked up some really cool skills and learned of some amazing things actually in that program. And yeah, I applied for permanent residency, um, got my permanent residency for me and my family in February of 2020, and became a citizen last year. So
Wow,
yeah.
congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you. It's been a crazy journey, but it's been a good journey and a very fulfilling one, if I
Yeah.
may say.
When you first left for Canada in 2018, did you bring your family with you already?
So that's a great question, Sherry. So we kind of intentionally kept 6 months because I wanted to set up for them. We were coming with a child, so I
Yeah.
just wanted to make sure that she was well set up.
Yeah.
In a certain sense, I have a lot of family here, so I have cousins and very multicultural family. So there's different perspectives and everything, but and that's an advantage in a certain sense. But yeah, it kind of helped me set up for both my wife and child at the time,
Yeah.
um, simply because those things are important as well.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay. And so when you came over to Canada, what were the biggest challenges that you have ever faced, like culturally and academically?
So integration was a big thing, because and the reason I say that is because when I came to Canada, I came as an Indian, right? Today I'm sitting here as an Indo-Canadian, right? And that in itself is a journey because there's a lot of things in India, and I'll give you a small example. When my daughter was born, my dad went to the local municipal office, and which is basically the civic body in responsible for administration in India. And he asked for the birth certificate, and there was so long story short, they charged him, a fee that he did not get a receipt
Oh,
for that birth certificate, right? In Canada, it's very different. There is process. You fill up a form, you fill up, you there is a waiting time. It's not as immediate as India is. So these things take time. And it's the little things, right? It's from the driver's license perspective. It's from the MSP perspective. You're
yeah.
waiting, for a doctor. You're waiting for, so you kind of get used to that process in a certain sense. But I feel like, in India, I was able to get things immediately. Um, while as here, it is a process, and and you kind of learn to kind of have patience, learn to sit back and say, okay, this is going to take some time. Um, that's one of the smallest but most frustrating things I faced. Why can't they just give me my BC ID right now, right? Kind of thing. Yeah.
Let's talk about your educational and professional growth. How did you experience, how was your experience as an international student shape your career aspirations?
Right. So, I could easily tell you that, just my journey in Canada, but what I want to do is take a step back and,
Yeah.
credit where it's due. I did my bachelor's in business management in my home country. And I feel it's really important to mention that because
Yeah.
that kind of set me up for success when I was here in Canada from an academic perspective, right? I know a lot of students that come in, right after they finish their 12th and don't have they face far much more struggle than someone with a bachelor's degree would or a
True.
master's degree would, because just the level of maturity is different and required in a certain sense to thrive in a country, because then your goals become different. So because I had already done my bachelor's, I had, I think, about 12 or 13 years of experience at the time, working with some of the biggest companies on the planet. I started my career with Lehman Brothers, went to Morgan Stanley, and then JP Morgan after that. Did that for about 12, 13 years, and then decided to come to Canada. So there was a lot of maturing that happened
Yes.
in that process of 12 to 15 years, from my bachelor's right until when I came to Canada. So when I got here, I already knew what I wanted to do, where I saw myself. And that was important. Having a vision and a goal for myself and my family was probably the most important thing I've done. And that's the reason why you see, I finished my studies in 2018 December, but I got my permanent residency. Sorry, 2019 December, but I got my permanent residency in February 2020. Just 2 months. That's the difference, right?
Wow. Yeah.
Unheard of. The
Yeah.
reason was because I set myself up for success. Why? Because there's some critical things that you're required to do, in that process. For example, you do your IELTS, right? Which is,
Correct.
or your CELPIP, which kind of has to be done while you're a student. You don't want to be waiting, after you complete your program to take these steps. You kind of have to do your WES, or your World Education Services, equivalency certification while you're a student, not waiting till the end. So I actually launched my application way back in October of 2018. I received my invitation to apply uh, July 2019. And from then it took me 6 months, February 2020, to, get my permanent residency and all of that stuff. So it's a series of things that set me up for success. Coming back to academics, I what I loved about my program was that they had a tie-up with a UBC Center of Digital Media, and I was able to go there for 1 month and create a prototype of an app that I wanted to build, and all of that stuff. It gave me that technical skill aspect to what I wanted to do, and that kind of helps me understand some of these new technologies that we're seeing right now in terms of AI, and what you can do in that space, and all of that stuff. In fact, we learned about AI before AI became a mainstream thing. We learned
Yeah.
about virtual reality before virtual reality became a mainstream thing. Um, so yeah, it kind of takes vision. It kind of takes, you're your best advocate, right? At
True.
the end of the day, we're responsible for our own journeys and our own lives. And having said that, I take that like pretty seriously. I like having a vision board. I like,
Yeah.
ensuring that, if I want to get somewhere, it doesn't happen overnight. There's steps that I need to take, small steps that I need to take to get there, right? So,
That is true.
yeah,
Yeah. I totally agree with that, that you have to begin with the end in mind. You have a
right.
goal, you have a vision, and you know that there are steps needed to take to reach that goal and vision. But for you, what was your vision?
So, my vision was to, I'm a family person, and you said that, in your introduction there, like nothing matters to me more than family. For me, my vision is to set my kids up for success. We've come to a new country. This cannot be taken lightly. It cannot be taken for granted. We stand on the shoulders of our parents and our grandparents and people that have worked really hard to make this possible. So this is more of a family
Yeah.
dream and a family thing. And it's something I remind my kids every day, that that mom and dad work really hard, but grandmom and granddad kind of set us up for this success as well, and we cannot take that lightly. We have to serve our community. We have to be people that of integrity, people that do the right thing at
Yeah.
all times. People that value community, and people that value building others up as well.
Yeah.
So having said that, my vision for my family was, and just to set my kids up for success was to be a great citizen, to be a great mentor, to do everything with diligence, and basically just be as open as possible and adaptable as possible to change, because we live in an ever-changing society,
Yeah.
right? I grew up in an era where everyone's parents wanted them to be doctors. Now everyone's parents wants them to train the AI system that they feel will be the doctor, right? So
Yeah.
it kind of is a little different, but yeah, that's my vision for my kids to be, the best version of themselves in this country. They contribute to society, they contribute to our family, and they contribute to building themselves up and having that goal and all of that stuff. Yeah,
Yeah, that's wonderful, Aaron. And you're truly a success story. I love your vision. And, because it's not just for yourself, it's for your family and for the community. And
right.
I'm pretty sure that many of our audience would also like to see themselves succeed, especially if they're international students. The world and the situations for international students nowadays in Canada has really changed. So, what would be your advice for aspiring international students?
So here's the thing, Sherry. Everyone's saying it's changing, right? And that can, it's how you take that news. I've had the privilege of having a mentor in my life that just kind of blows my mind every single time. You know him actually, Tarun Kular. So
Oh,
he's
yes.
been my mentor since I came to Canada. From that very first offer letter I got
Wow.
from a school in Canada, his signature was there, and I still have his number saved as, and I won't tell you the school name, but I still have his number saved as Tarun and the school name,
Oh, it's
because
okay.
it
Tell the school name. What's the school name?
yeah. So right now Pacific Link College, but at the time,
Yes.
I just liked to save people as
Yeah.
what they were related to, right? So
Yes.
I have the privilege of working with Tarun now, and he's amazing. But just having him as a mentor, people that you can look up to, people that you can model after, is so
Yes.
important. And that's what
True.
we aim to provide at Pacific Link College, right? You see, all our student success stories have to do with the mentorship that we provide, the mentorship that comes from our admissions team in the admissions process. And that's Varun Kumar's team. The mentorship that comes from the operation team during, when the student life and, all of that, the mentorship that comes during the academic portion from our instructors and our academic heads and all of that stuff. And then overall, just having a mentor and CEO, to kind of tie that all in together, give us a vision professionally, and all of that stuff. So coming back to it, while I was a student, I had the privilege. I forgot to mention this, and I always purposely kind of keep it for last. I didn't go to a university in Canada. I went to Pacific Link College, right? And I was able to achieve so much just going to a private school. Now, that may not be the case for everyone, and you got to do what's best for you. But having said that, for me, it set me up with success. Why? Because I feel like the private industry at large is full of mentors. It's full of people that want to make a difference. And for me, that was, Tarun, to me, still is, one of the greatest people I've met, and just have had such a privilege of working with him and just understanding how things are done, and all of that stuff. But I digress. Coming back to your question, so everything changes, right? Nothing is constant. If it is constant, it means we're not growing, and that's personally as well as things from outside, the macro environment, and all of that stuff. Now, it we always look back and say it was easier, but then when you talk to people, anyone that's gone through this journey of immigration knows how hard it is.
True.
right? For me, at the time, I thought I would never make it. It was hard for me. For you, I'm pretty sure you thought you would never make it. It's hard for you. You talk to people that came 18, 20 years ago, that was a different process altogether. They thought they would never make it too. They had to wait 6, 7, 8 years before they got their, permanent residency and, all of that stuff. I feel like adaptability is important. Now, I've been studying some of these changes myself because it's my industry. I care about, our students a lot, and just being able to guide them and mentor them through this process. Now, take for example, you need um you need, I think the current cutoff score is 539, kind of staying a bit high, and I expect it to go even higher from there. um, what you kind of have to do as a student or a temporary resident is number one. And I love how our CEO, Tarun, says it. He says, you got to change your mindset to think not that you're a temporary resident, that you're a future citizen. All right. So when you change your mindset and say, okay, I'm a future citizen, what are the steps that you need to be doing now to get you there? Right? So you kind of have to
Very good.
reverse engineer something that, we spoke about a little earlier. You reverse engineer those steps and then you go from there. So you're now doing things not from a reactionary standpoint, or the points are high, so I need to get an LMI. You're not doing that. You have it set out from the start. Okay, I finished my bachelor's in, commerce in my home country, or hospitality in my home country. What am I going to do next? Probably need to come to Canada to a private institution to do hospitality, or to do digital media, or to do IT, or to do health sciences, right? And then from there, you need to, what's the next step? Oh, could I find a job that will support, or if I work hard enough, they will give me an LMI, or they'll give me job sponsorship, and that becomes the next step. How many points do I have at this point after completing that private post diploma, private diploma, and the LMI? Do I need to do something further? How can I go from just being a healthcare aide to being a registered nurse? What does that process look like?
Yeah.
And 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 the system is forcing people to be intentional about the journey, which is really, really good, right?
Yeah.
Because you don't want people to come here and just stay and do nothing, because it's not beneficial for the community. It's not beneficial for the person. You want to see people growing, and that's what I love about Canada. That's what I love about British Columbia. There's so much of opportunity to grow if you're willing to go through that rigorous process, if you're willing to reverse engineer, and if you're willing to change your mindset and adapt.
Yeah, I love that. You have to reverse engineer and have a good mindset that, okay, think about you as a future citizen and what are the things that you need to do to become that. But what are
Right.
the specific habits that you think that they should apply? What are the things that they should do day in, day out to get there?
Absolutely, that's a great question. So day in, day out, and this is something I did as well. Do not take any shortcuts. There is no shortcut with getting to where you want to be. All right, it is going to take time. It is going to take hard work. It is going to take perseverance. One of the best pieces of advice I've received is when I was a new temporary resident back in 2018. Tarun told me, he's like, if you get one person to speak good about you, that will just catapult you into a different zone. And that's something I've used throughout my career. I started, even though I had like tons of work experience in wealth management and all of those companies that I mentioned earlier. I started taking calls, for pizza orders at Panado Pizza. One of the best jobs, in my opinion, that I could have ever got at the time. You know why? Because I
Why?
learned the geography of the country.
Oh,
right? I knew where
the delivery,
Saskatoon was.
etc.
I knew
Yeah,
where Regina was. Terms that if you're in BC, you don't necessarily, you probably know Calgary and you know Ontario because they're famous cities, right? But you don't know some of the smaller cities and towns like Prince George, like Okotok. I still struggle with the name. Uh, you
Okotok.
know, yes. But some of the smaller cities, smaller communities, and working at a pizza place where a national pizza place actually, where they took a variety of they supported a variety of provinces, um, you know just kind of gave me the perspective of, okay, this is what the landscape of Canada looks like,
Yeah,
which is so important to have. You need to have that full perspective, right?
yeah,
So don't be shy from doing the little things, because that's where it starts, right? I
true.
could have easily said, I was a senior manager when I left. I want to be a senior manager or a manager now. No, I just did a customer rep role for a good 6 months, and then got promoted internally to an outbound team where we used to deliver offers and all of that. And then I think I worked with them for about 3 years totally, and then I ended being the quality coach and trainer for the Western region for Panago Pizza. So it starts small. You have to be ready to start small. You have to be ready to make those sacrifices, to take those night shifts, to do things that you would not necessarily see yourself doing from a home country comfort perspective, right? You have to be willing to take up that second job for that certain period of time, so that you're making your ends meet. And there's no shame in doing those things. Usually we come from societies and places saying, oh, if they have two jobs, maybe they're not doing too well. Think of it like this: if you have two jobs, you're gaining more perspective than the average you know student or the average temporary resident just in one job, right?
That is true.
So
Yeah,
there's nothing wrong in going against the mold in a certain sense, and saying I want to do things differently. So you have to be willing. That's the second point, to take risks, right?
yes,
You
yeah,
don't take risks, you always are in a comfort zone, safe. It's not going to go anywhere. Like, you get there eventually, but it will, it will not, be as fulfilling when you get there. You look back and you say, okay, maybe I should have done something different, and you don't want any regrets in this journey as well. And then the third and most important point is people. you know uh, for me, it's the people that surrounded me, the people that I looked up to, and the people I networked with, that kind of made this more fulfilling. You have to draw from experiences of other people. For
yeah,
me, I was blessed to have Tarun. I was blessed to have my cousins. I was blessed to have my family here, but not everyone has that, right? So you have to go out of your way, be proactive, to find a mentor that works for you,
yes,
to find people that are in your corner. Maybe not like spoon feeding you, but people that are cheering you on and saying, hey, you know what, it looks hard, but you've got this, right? People that call out. I Personally, I feel like everyone's born with greatness. It's just what they discover, right, in the journey. But people that call out that greatness, people that basically say, hey, you know what, I love what you have there in the background, Sherry. I am unstoppable. And a lot of
yeah,
people need to know that they're unstoppable. They're on this planet for a reason, for a purpose, to make change happen, and drive them towards that journey, and drive them towards their purpose
yeah.
in life. Yeah,
Oh, I love that. Yeah, that's truly inspiring, Aaron. And just saying that you need to have a mentor, you need to surround yourself with people who are better than you, who know more than you, and who would cheer you on, who would tell you, "Hey, it's not easy, but you've got this." And I like that.
absolutely.
Yeah, that's very important, right? And going the extra mile, not taking shortcuts and taking risks, not boxing yourself in your comfort zone. For
Right.
yourself, Aaron, you are a success story. Of course, you have been helped by your your parents, your family surrounds you, but it is you who actually made it happen. What are the steps that you took that really helped you be where you are today, apart from having that vision, and where you can say, hey, I am now where I wanted to be?
Right. So, it's funny you asked that question actually, because we all have goals and aspirations for our life, and just the person I am, I don't like settling for where I am. I always feel there's, further to go and,
Amazing.
further to do, and all of that stuff. And I'll keep this answer short. It comes down to who you surround yourself with. I'm blessed to have surrounded myself with, people I love working with, people I love, in terms of family and, being mentored by, and, all of that stuff. But at the same time, you kind of have to be adaptable, because you don't know what life throws at you, right? That's the most uncertain thing. You don't know what's around the corner. You don't know, what's going to happen next, and, all of that stuff. But if you have these solid, uh, you know, uh, this solid squad of cheerleaders and mentors, there's a ton of opportunities there's within that space that you can think about doing, right? So I feel, just, and I'm not going to give away too much, but there's a couple of exciting things that's coming up, for me personally, in terms of family and, all of that stuff. And I don't mean any more babies, because we're two and done. But yeah, just in terms of what the next step for our lives look here in Canada, and, and how mentorship plays into that as well. That's a whole different conversation, but it is an exciting period coming up, an exciting 2025. We're going to be super busy professionally and personally as well. But yeah, that's what I can say about that for now.
Your mentor Tarun must be very proud of you and cheering you on still. In what ways do you give back to, to the community and to the new students who come to Canada?
So this is something that, we take very seriously at Pacific Link College. What we can give back, because the core team, most of the core team rather, are international students that have walked this journey at different specific times, right? So giving back is who we are. It's what we do, and, it's why we do it. So in a certain sense, when a student comes in, we go out of our way to kind of mentor the students. We go out of our way to ensure that they have that mindset of adaptability. They have that mindset of, you can do this. We believe in you. They have that mindset of, okay, this organization is going to be, more like a family support tree, as opposed to an institution. And therefore, I keep telling some of my students, please see me as a big brother, right? I want to be there for you. I want to be invested in part of your journey, and, make sure you find that success. So if you have any questions, please always feel free to come to me. They have our personal phone numbers. You won't believe it. And this is something I learned from Tarun. Tarun, being the president and CEO, does student meetings. Students call him directly. And, that's not necessarily the best thing in a certain sense. You would think, oh, a CEO and a president has so many other things to talk about, but it keeps him rooted to what the primary goal is here, to help our students, because these students, they pay a lot of money. Not necessarily our students, just students that come to Canada, right? they
Yes.
they they pay a lot of money for, for relocation, for coming here, for, you know you know just the parents invest in them. They come from middle class homes. They're not, typically the rich kids that have had everything in life. This is hard on money, so we kind of respect that. We want them to make their families proud. We want them to make their parents proud. We want them eventually to get their parents here for the graduation ceremony. If they kind of settle, and if that's their goal, then, permanently, and, all of that stuff. So yeah, just providing them mentorship. Sometimes they don't ask for it, but we still do it anyways because we really care about them. So yeah.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Aaron. That was very inspiring and encouraging. Yeah, because, well, if you have set a goal for yourself and you have a vision for yourself here in Canada, a better quality of life really, truly awaits.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes. Thank you so much again, Aaron
Of
DPenha.
course.
Yes. And of course, thank you so much for joining us here in Life Expressions. Today, we had this pleasure of speaking with Aaron, whose insights remind us of the importance of having a vision for yourself and surrounding yourself with the right people. Aaron's journey highlights not only the challenges, but also the incredible growth that comes from pursuing one's true vision. I hope you felt inspired by his story and took away some meaningful lessons to apply to your own life. If you have any questions and if you have any comments, please feel free to comment below and also tell us what is your vision for yourself. Let us know. You never know who might find the inspiration in your story too. Again, I'm Chari Hinata Elon, your host for Life Expressions. Don't forget to tune in to the next episode of Life Expressions. We are streaming on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and wherever you get your favorite podcasts. Till next time, here on Life Expressions.